This is a review of the LaserMax 115 lumen LED centerfire weapon light for the Smith & Wesson J-frame. It is advertised to fit the 642, 442, 637, 638, and 438 J-frames. It weighs 1 ounce, which I have confirmed on my scale it does, and that includes the battery. It's a 115 lumen output. It runs on a single CR2 battery, which is included. It runs about 75 minutes, and it has a 10-minute auto-off function. It is advertised to be user programmable to have a strobe mode. I use it in the constant on mode. I've never tried to use the strobe mode, but I presume it does work. The unit cost me, I think, about $125. I bought it on Optics Planet. I've got about 500 rounds through it right now, and it is working reliably. Basically, what you're looking at is the first, in my mind, viable weapons-mounted light system for the J-frame. There was an earlier unit that worked along the same lines as the laser grips. I've never actually seen one in person. I've heard good things about it, but I'd never seen one in person. The only thing that I saw is a serious drawback to it was I'd have to give up my laser grips, which I just, especially with the J-frame, I simply will not do if I can. Here, LaserMax is delivered, and I think they delivered this for the first time at SHOT this year, a 125 lumen weapons-mounted light for the J-frame. They delivered this unit for I think they delivered it also for the Glock 42 and 43, and frankly, I think that was LaserMax's major focus. Those guns are hot, and I understand. I also think it goes to a possible fundamental misunderstanding of the modern pocket revolver carrier. I think a lot of people are hesitant to develop technologies like this for the revolver because revolver owners are viewed as being very conservative. I don't think that's necessarily true, especially these days. Most people who carry revolvers now, or things like the J-frame, I don't think grew up on revolvers. This is not the Wiley Clapp generation. This isn't the Jeff Cooper generation. People who carry a J-frame now carry it because the gun is very light, very reliable, and very safe, among other reasons. But now we've got the LaserMax unit. Now the LaserMax unit is interesting because it basically mounts onto the gun. You don't ever remove it, or you don't remove it until you need to replace the batteries. It has 3 screws here. Very simple installation. You just lay the gun into one of the halves of the shell. You make sure the battery's seated. You you squeeze them together, make sure they fit tightly, and then you just screw them on in. You can Loctite them. You can do whatever. I haven't Loctited mine. I wanted to see how reliable the unit was. I've got about 500 rounds through mine at this point. It hasn't shaken loose, and the light seems to work fine. The switches are ambidextrous. You'll see that there is a switch on both sides. The normal way of carrying, if your finger's up here, if you're exercising reasonable trigger discipline, you've got your finger up here or your finger there, and you'll be able to activate the light anytime you need to. Now, if you've got the gun, if you're supporting the gun in your hand, obviously your support thumb can activate the unit. The unit is constant on, at least as I have it programmed, so if you touch it, it will stay on. But if you touch it again, it'll go off, and you can touch it from either side. You can turn it on one side and turn it off on the other. It doesn't matter, or you can double tap. If you don't want to have a constant on, if you want to use kind of a strobe light feature, you are going to have to tap it. You are going to have to give it a second tap. I think that's perfectly reasonable. They probably made the right decision to have the constant on as the default setting. Again, this unit has been very reliable. It's very small. It does not photograph well. I have to say, if you take a look at it, sometimes in photographs I've seen of it online and in the literature, it looks bigger than it actually is. It does not add any practical bulk to the gun. It adds visual bulk to the gun, but it will, if you carry it in your pocket, you're not going to notice this unit. First of all, it weighs 1 ounce. You're not going to notice that. The second reason is it fits in normal pocket holsters. It does include, LaserMax includes a nice little pocket holster the kind of normal design these days. It has the sticky exterior, and I think this unit's actually a little large. I think I had an Uncle Mike's unit that was for one step up from the normal J-frame, and it fit it fine. But again, this one came with the gun. It fits in your pocket nicely, and there's really no reason to go out and buy another holster. The unit's been reliable. It adds a lot of advantages to the gun. A lot of people say they don't like weapons-mounted lights because it forces you to point a loaded weapon at things you're trying to identify. That's absolutely true. In optimal circumstances, you will use a handheld light to clarify your targets, but we all know, if you think about it, if you're in an emergency, you're going to need to use your light on your weapon if it's a true emergency. Or there are certainly emergencies where you're going to need to use your light on your weapon, where you don't want to be fumbling, trying to use the Rogers, Harris, or other techniques, which they may be efficient and they may work very well, but they're never going to work as well as a weapons-mounted light. So we finally, with the J-frame, have that option here with the Laser Max. I heartily recommend that you take a look at this unit. I plan to continue to update this. I'm going to try to keep this unit on here from now on, and if there's any problems, I will update it and tell you. But on the other hand, at this point, like I said, most people I don't even think have 500 rounds to their J-frames. This unit here has lasted 500 rounds, and it's given me no indication it's going to give me any troubles. So my recommendation is go out and get one and add a lot of capability to your J-frame. Thank you very much.